Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Ball here.
How's it going? And it's, Jake Claver. I'm not as cool as your intro, dude. This is so awesome to have you on the
It's an
show.
absolute pleasure, bro. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I was telling you before, I've been watching you since 2020. And for the majority of the audience, they're probably going to know who you are.
Yeah.
But maybe just give them some background. If you don't follow his channel, like you absolutely should. It's the Bearable Bull.
Thank you, brother. That means the world to me, dude. I'm the Bearable Bull. I used to be the formerly anonymous fuck on the internet that said aggressively average every single day. But now I've shown my face, and I was actually telling you why I did the face reveal the other day. It's because AI caught me, guys, red-handed. It's coming for all of you too. It's gonna subpoenas are coming for everybody, bro. For everybody. If you owe 15 cents on an Ethereum trade, they're coming. But in all seriousness, I made a little mistake in my initial days as a content creator. I used like my face and stuff, and I hit it, but AI caught me, so I felt like I had to come out on my own terms, or else it would kind of like.
Well, there's just leverage, right? Like if you want to remain anonymous and somebody can blackmail you, you don't want that. And so, but I think it shows an evolution in the space too, right? Like as crypto's matured on the back end, a lot of people, there was a stigma.
Yeah.
And now that we're getting regulatory clarity and it's coming into the fold, I think this is a really timely reveal for yourself.
Yeah, I think it was a good time. I was 23 back when I started my channel, and I'm pretty sure all the boomers that watch for the XRP content, they're like, who's this dude talking about crypto? And we're at 40 fucking cents being sued by the SEC at 23 years old. But now it's like, hey guys, I'm here. I'm a real dude. This is my real voice, but I can also put on the character whenever I need to. So it's very entertaining. It's very fun. I have a blast like doing the little voice in the background, but
I think it's great, dude. Yeah, it's like it's a marker, So there's a couple other channels. I can always have the same outro.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody else has an intro, but you need something for the audience to remember you by.
Yeah, it's like, because dude, honestly, this space is so boring. Like if you like it's banking, it's tech, everyone's broke. Like who wants to stay here? Like who wants to stay unless you're like a little sizzle, you know what I mean?
You've got to be a little bit crazy to be in crypto consistently.
It's a very eclectic group of people, like some degenerate conspiracy theorists meets bankers, meets economists, meets PhDs. So yeah, you got to kind of cater to a broad audience. But
and you do well. Well, like your channel, you cover a variety of topics. And so I was telling you too, you were kind of the first person that I ever heard talk about some of the things that I talk about, which is post-price appreciation. Like you were at the level of this is a foregone conclusion back in 20 and 21.
Yeah.
Like this is going to happen. What are you going to do on the other side of that?
Yeah.
And we've all made some mistakes in the interim here. We could have bought some Solana or BNB or some
any other we could have bought JPEG monkeys. We would have made money. We could have bought with memes, but it's also like just investing principle wise.
Right.
I don't want to pick up bad habits because I believe, regardless of the fact that some 19-year-old probably made 8 figures off of scams, I don't want any potential fraud cases against me because 100%. I was engaged in that. I don't want to, I don't want to pick up bad habits from like the meme culture and stuff. I think crypto is a very revolutionary space. And at the end of the day, I think it's going to pay off, especially this time around.
I think we're moving into the utility of all of this. And, to your point, there's just certain principles when I'm investing. So there's a person here in Dallas that I know that's prominent in the meme coin community, and he's done exceptionally well. Like really well.
Hey, I love it.
Not everybody's got their hustle, right? And he had an opportunity. This was probably end of last year. He brings it to me and he's like, hey, $250,000, throw in on this. It's going to pump. It's going to make a bunch of money. And I was like, just not my game, man. I'm sorry. I appreciate the offer.
Yeah.
But I have to stick to my thesis and my principles, and that's not in alignment with what I want to do. So
nice. Good.
To your point, like they're going to be able to trace all this with AI. They're going to see all of it.
But, hey guys, they caught me with AI, and I had to come out on my own accord, or else some 13-year-old that Googled who's the Bearable would have found out. So, all of this shit, like you're not You're not safe. AI is powerful. Anthropic just came out with it. Come on, like this is a powerful time. It's a revolutionary time, and I kind of on that point, I kind of want to get into the convergence of everything that's going on.
Let's run it down.
It's like World War III, crypto adoption with the Clarity Act likely to pass very soon. AI and the birth canal of really taking over the world. Trump is tweeting praise to Allah and, posting Jesus photos, and the aliens are coming. They're almost here, and I'm for it.
Jake, you need some way to galvanize society, right? And I think to your point, we're at a fourth turning. There's always, have you ever read The Fourth Turning?
No.
There's a book. It's great. It talks about geopolitics and socioeconomics, and that tends to there's large cataclysms that tend to coincide with currency cycles, which is exactly what you just described there. So,
absolutely, yeah.
You have all of these haves and have-nots. You have large divides between different sects in the economy. There's, all of this tension built up, and there will be something, whether it's aliens or a war.
I mean, look at what happened with COVID.
Right.
Like that's kind of what I'm talking about on my channel. Is like in September 2019, the repo liquidity injection started, and what happened right along with that was Event 201, and Event 201 ended up being COVID, and COVID got declared a pandemic March 2020. Boom, interest rate cuts to zero.
Yep.
And then immediate crash, and then parabolic move. Done. So I kind of expect the same thing to happen. Maybe not like the energy lockdown straight up Hormuz. Bombs are dropping on the Dubai airport. That was kind of nuts.
Wild, dude.
I keep thinking that's a big opportunity for Dubai real estate. I don't know about you, but I think so.
So Brian Rose, I don't know if you know Brian Rose, used to do London Real. He's doing Dubai Real now.
Nice.
Talking about real estate. And I think you and him are both right on point here.
Because what happened during 9/11? Did New York go away?
No. Came back.
Like that was worse. So it's one of those things. I know that people probably don't have some opinions about it, but it's like that market's been booming for a long time. So
I think it will. I think it'll return to that.
Yeah.
And the people that I know, they're in Dubai. We do business with multiple people there. I was just in New York talking with a gentleman that's at Arch Lending, who's one of our partners. He's resides in Dubai, and he's like, still super safe. There's just some shrapnel that's falling from the sky every once in a while.
Dude, like, would you rather get stabbed by some random homeless dude in any major city in America, or just like, an Iranian bomb dropped for a couple weeks and then it's over? So I know it's not good, but it's also like that shit happens and nothing's perfect.
No, you're always going to have some type of natural, like, so here in Dallas, right? Like, we're not on we're central to the United States. We're not on either coast. We have tornadoes. Bad tornadoes here. If you're in California, you have wonderful weather, and then you have earthquakes.
If you're on the East Coast, you have California shit too.
Well, you got to deal with the other things that go on there. But everything has its good and bad, right? And when there's opportunity in the market and things are undervalued in comparison to their real value, maybe it was a little frothy in Dubai for a little while. There needed a pullback in their real estate. But markets always tend to be overreactions, either direction.
Yes.
So
there's always opportunity in those reacts. Yes. I guess, and kind of to touch on the currency crisis that you were talking about, who's this treasury dude that's in office right now? The treasurer?
So for the Fed, they're moving in Warsh. Or who are you talking about on the treasury side?
Yeah, there's this guy, I forget the damn name, and I'm sorry that I forget the damn name to one of these nerds that destroy economies. But there's this dude in the treasury now that he used to work for Soros, and he's specialized in helping Soros. He specializes in pinpointing vulnerabilities in currencies. And in 1992,
that's how he exploited
the British pound.
Yeah.
And then I think it was in 2013, the yen. So this dude is here now with the US dollar.
Well, so that could be a good or bad thing, right? It's kind of like the white hat hackers. You hire the best people that would know how to cause problems, and then you work with them to prevent the issues. That's at least how I'm hoping using him, and not from
I don't believe that. No, I don't believe. I'm sorry, we're going to the shitter.
Well, look, so I think we're going to stabilize this whole deal. I think I don't know that they're going to get the soft landing. I'm with you. I think this is going to be a cataclysm and then a V bottom out of there when they
I
go.
think so too, yeah.
But I think they're going to
I hope for that too, because that's like rip the Band-Aid off and then quick recovery.
jump in the deep end, get it over with, move on to the next thing. But if you drag it out, I mean, we could have another 2008, or we could have a lost decade like we did after 1929 and the Great Depression. So I'm hopeful that we see, the advent of all of these technologies converge, and we see huge economic output and GDP growth, and the velocity of money picks up, reduces inflation, and like things actually move forward here.
I'm cautiously optimistic for a couple more years, but there's going to be a big rug pull moment that's going to be pretty bad. AI frightens me for people, not necessarily the tech yet. A lot of people aren't ready for it. You have to kind of position yourself in between and kind of become one of the early adopters of it to help it propel you forward.
Like XRP.
Yeah, kind of like XRP. And something that's been prevalent from you specifically is this thing called the Domino Theory. This Domino Theory, I haven't researched it completely just so that I can be informed by you.
Okay,
here.
That's great.
But I do want to know exactly what that domino theory is from you, because I probably know some bullet points, but I want to see your full rundown on it.
I mean, so some of the things have already come to pass. I'd originally put it out in March of 24, and we started to see the reverse carry trade, which is like the main event of this. That's the catalyst for the rest of these dominoes to fall. It started to happen in August of 24. But they didn't have stablecoin regulation. They didn't have the XRP ETFs in place. They didn't have a way to be able to rotate that liquidity and stabilize the bond market.
I understand.
And so they paused raising interest rates over in Japan. And are you familiar with the reverse carry trade?
Yeah.
Okay, so for those that aren't and that are watching, you've got tens of trillions of dollars, probably close to 12 to 14 trillion dollars that's been borrowed from the Bank of Japan in yen in the past 20 to 30 years. And that money's been taken, free money, because sometimes you actually got paid. It was negative interest rates.
Yes.
And you could go put it in other markets and generate returns. So you're borrowing free money, putting it over here and generating the spread, right? And as long as you can service the debt, whatever the interest rates are when you got to refinance, you're fine. Well, now that they're raising interest rates and at an aggressive rate, percentage-wise.
2.5-ish.
The 10 year is already at 2.5. They've held things at 75 basis points. They need to go to 1.5. The Bank of Japan has already said multiple times, we need to raise to 1.5. So I think it's possible here in April that we could see them come up at least 25 basis points, if not closer to 1%, at the meeting here on the 28th. So we'll see. They're saying, all the way till June, but I don't think they can hold off that long with the inflation in their economy from the oil. Now, there's been a whipsaw in that market because, Trump tweeted today that the Strait of Hormuz is open.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No, it's not. No.
Ships are not moving through it.
Well, it's the manipulation. Trump is the X factor to a lot of different things. I enjoy him for volatility sake, because
that's money to be made.
What he is, and there's money to be made. Whether things are, I'm the worst dude to listen to when we're trading sideways, bro. I'm boring. Nobody likes me. There's no money to make. That's. I'm here right now for the fun. This is the fun, bro.
Yeah,
it really is. So when Trump is over here rage tweeting and saying we're open, but we're closed, but we're not, but we're about to bomb shit, but it's like
we're peace. We're not.
But that's the fun, and that's where opportunity is. And when the uncertainty is there, that's where I really like to you
can capitalize on stuff. If you can be in position prior to, and obviously his family's opportunistic, and there's lots of politicians that inside trade and do other stuff. I'm not here to debate any of those things, but pulling it back to the domino theory, right? So when all this unwinds, you're going to see a repricing across markets. I think you could see $50 silver. I think you could see $2,200 gold. Not for very long. I think it'll be a very sharp,
quick V shape.
Yeah, got to tap, previous all-time high,
which is the same thing that happened during COVID. By the way, even gold went down, oil went negative.
Yep,
absolutely, yeah.
So I think it'll be across markets. You're going to see a significant drop in value. Stocks, it's not really going to matter where you have it. Real estate's can be the same way. And crypto, and even Bitcoin. So when all of that takes place and all of that liquidity gets sucked out of these markets at one time, because it's going to be a run for the door to be able to repay these loans.
Yes.
And you've already seen the Fed and Berkshire Hathaway stockpiling yen to be able to provide liquidity when that plays out for people that aren't able to get the currency converted back fast enough.
Yeah, interesting.
So they'll refinance the debt for you
Yes.
at some steep terms.
Yes,
You
yes,
know
yes.
how Uncle Warren is. Well, he's not Uncle Warren anymore.
Yeah.
But opportunistic again. So all that plays out. There's huge unrealized losses in the market. They have the XRP ETFs. Do you remember when the fake ETF was filed for BlackRock, the XRP ETF,
Yes.
like November of 23?
Yeah.
And then they swept it under the rug. Bloomberg came out and said it was fake, and the DOJ was investigating. And then we never heard anything else about who did it or how it was done or
Yeah, I remember
anything. So I think that trust could still be sat there in the background, and it would be very easy for BlackRock to file an S1 that met the requirements, and boom, they're live with their XRP ETF to be able to rotate liquidity in there.
Yeah.
And they would need to, because in order to de-risk the Bitcoin ETFs, we've never had an instance where the Bitcoin ETFs drop more than 30%.
Yeah. Well, I actually, if I could pause you there, what's going to happen to Bitcoin during these energy lockdowns, oil at all-time high? Like, oh, could we get to $200 oil? I want to be
Surprised, yeah. I mean, we're back down to 80 now after the Trump tweet Trump today, but
yeah, a nice little reversal before we go to the moon. Maybe.
I think so. I think you can see 150 for sure.
My thing is like, what's going to happen to Bitcoin when, energy lockdowns, maybe oil prices are through the roof, maybe. Like, are we going to continue to fund these miners that are using a lot of energy for a currency that what are we doing? Just holding value there? Like, look, I'm not a Bitcoin bear, but I'm not a bull. I hope it does well.
Same.
But it's also, I'm tired of the crypto market being tied to this
Bitcoin.
antiquated dirt technology. It is dirt technology, forgive me. And I always point back to the day when Chris Larson is like, Bitcoin needs to move to proof of stake.
They do. And they got to become quantum proof. There's a bunch of issues in the current environment with Bitcoin. I look at Bitcoin kind of like the Napster or the Alta Vista of crypto. First mover, disrupt an industry, fantastic for that. But it's really been relegated to digital gold. And if there's any issue with the supply being actually limited, and then it's also tightly correlated to Tether. And so I think Tether is going to play a role in the domino theory as well. Either there's something on their balance sheet that's affected during this that causes it to depeg, or we've seen that Iran is tolling people in crypto.
Yeah.
Maybe the U.S. government comes out and sanctions Tether.
Yes. Interesting.
And that would cause a mass exodus from that stable coin.
I mean,
it'd be like Tornado Cash. I don't know.
Yeah. Tornado Cash, yeah.
So there's precedent been set for this. It could absolutely happen.
And that's the suspect big ticking time bomb in the crypto market. Like, what is this Tether thing? Where are they located? Do they have the reserves they claim? I've always been a proponent that, hey, Tether is very sus. I don't know what's going on over there. But, like, everyone wants to say, it's like, sweep it under the rug. But I'm just pointing out, hey, like, this thing is like top 3, 4 in terms of total liquid. Like,
oh yeah, it's a rug. And I think, I've said this a couple different times, and maybe it will get demonetized or something.
Bro, they want to get me off there so bad, bro. The lizards are fed up with me.
But if we see an issue with that, it's going to cause disruptions across exchanges and the rest of the market. Bitcoin, for sure. There's a very tight correlation between Bitcoin's price going up and the amount of Tether or M2 money supply effectively in the crypto space.
Yeah.
So if we saw that drop significantly for sanctions or other reasons, and Bitcoin does drop significantly, it trades close to real time. It's not real time. It's not as good as XRP or XLM or HBAR or some of these others, but it's still faster than the stock market, which is T+1.
Absolutely.
And we've already had Paul Adkins, the president of NASDAQ, and the president of the New York Stock Exchange all come out and say that they're going to move to real-time settlement using distributed ledger technology here.
24/7, 365. Yeah, absolutely. And who's Ripple partnered with? Securitize is partnered with the New York Stock Exchange. So it's like, hello, hi, guy.
Are you watching?
Like, how many trillions, Jake?
Yes, $600 trillion is total market cap of global stock markets. it's a lot of liquidity that's going to have to be settled on the back end between the clearinghouses and the brokers. And this is antiquated. This is kind of illustrated. So I don't know if you remember Wall Street Bets.
Yeah.
I'm sure people watching absolutely remember Wall Street Bets, where AMC and GameStop were, the big shorts were against them. The hedge funds were holding them down. And then there was a short squeeze and they skyrocketed and people made a bunch of money. But the problem was you were buying stuff on Robinhood and Webull and these apps that make it feel like you're trading stocks real time. Unfortunately, you're not.
You're not.
On the front end, you are. But it actually still, at that time, it took T+2 to settle between the clearinghouses and the brokers. And they actually have no accounting mechanism across all the clearinghouses and the brokers. So they oversold AMC by like 39%. And so that's why, they froze trading and then they had to pull stocks back from people and people were pissed off because they were like, well, you sold it to me. How can you do this? And so they need an accounting mechanism. They need to tokenize the stock market and they need real-time settlement. And I think they've realized that and they're ready to implement it.
XRP, bro. What do you think comes first in terms of like this use case? Because that's something I really grapple with. It's like, I know this technology is superior to what we have today. I know that it's underneath every single financial rock we look under, all these different companies we're partnered with. What is it, 1,700 NDAs?
Yeah.
I think there's some there. Derivatives is the big juicy bone that we like to dangle. It's like, hey, $250 market. But what is the trickle effect of how we start ramping up adoption? Because I feel like we need to get into some niche markets. Do the ETF volumes bring up
That's
the price gradually, and then once the price comes up, then does the adoption start getting more traction and credibility? Is that it, or are we waiting for the Clarity Act? Like, this is my issue. It's like XRP is inevitable. I think everyone at home knows this, but what is going to begin the inevitability and how long is it going to take? I'm exhausted. I'm tired, bro. Like the fucking Bears said 2018, 589. And then just a side note, my first video I saw from you, Jake, was like, we're going to $1,000 2027. I'm like, oh, not enough. But then and then I started hearing you talking. I'm like, okay, this dude knows the shit. It's just he would seize the market caps of these different use cases we could tap into. But it's just tough to project, like, how soon, where is it going to come from?
Yeah, what's going to be
the reason?
I think to your second point, a lot of people have said, okay, it's got to be utility. We're going to start using it. It's going to drive the adoption. It's going to drive the value higher. I think that the price has to be at a certain level before they can even start to use it. And the mechanism by which they're going to do that is through the ETFs and a rotation of liquidity during a crisis.
Interesting. Why during the crisis specifically?
Problem, reaction, solution, my man.
Fine.
But I think at that point, there can be certain announcements. Here in Q2 of 2026, you have the BIS giving designations for 4 digital assets: Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, and XRP. And I've said for a long time that the BIS would come out and regulate XRP, a tier 1 asset, similar to US Treasuries or gold. And I think we're not far from that at all. And if we had a high, stable value XRP that was backed by the volume on markets, like, what could be more stable than that?
Yeah.
Global, like, if global liquidity collapses and markets collapse, we really don't need a backing. Right. So they need a new anchor, a new peg, and XRP is uniquely positioned to sit in that spot. But I do think it'll be through the launch of a lot of ETFs all at one time, where Ripple withholds liquidity from the market. They don't release the escrow. And there's a very shortage of supply across the exchanges. And maybe also the exchanges want it because Tether's got issues. You're familiar with Shane Ellis theory?
Yes. Yeah.
Same deal. Bitfinex goes illiquid. Tether's got issues. They've got to adopt a new settlement mechanism, and there's a ton of demand for XRP. And he showed how that could get to $500 just off of Bitfinex's volume. But if you had that happen across all the exchanges and you need it for these other applications, that's a lot of demand for XRP all at one time.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I think we're ever going to see the real world adoption that people want is we're going to have to see significantly higher price through price and demand or supply and demand. And then they'll start using it to settle the infrastructure.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. I guess Ripple really created a one-stop shop with themselves, right? Medical, custody,
Treasury.
lending,
Yeah.
Ripple Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Ripple Prime fascinates me, bro. I feel like you had an interview with them.
I did, yeah. Yeah, Mike Higgins, who's their international CEO. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about like some of the little nuggets you brought.
Again, to your point, I don't think a lot of people really comprehend the gravity of what they've created.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, G Treasury processed like 13 trillion in payments last year for treasuries. Ripple Prime did around 6 trillion, and that's all traditional.
13 and 6 trillion, and that's Ripple's ecosystem, right?
Correct. They bought these companies, they've rolled them in, and that's just the traditional side. So they haven't even implemented any of the digital payments or ROUSD or the efficiencies that they're about to create.
And what's XRP's market cap now? Like $100 billion?
Yeah, it's 140, 150.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, you and me, you're on the same page, my man. So they've created a product, what they call Ripple One.
Yeah.
And it's the full stack for stable coins, custody, treasury management, and then prime broker. And the prime broker is a big piece of that. So prime brokers can take collateral from any balance sheet, if you're a corporation or an individual or whatever you have. We help people set up companies to manage their crypto. Maybe there's a reason behind that. So as a balance sheet. And then you can post collateral with them, and they can take that collateral and margin it and put it to work in other assets. So if you wanted to hold U.S. treasuries and maintain ownership of your XRP and generate yield off of treasuries, or maybe you wanted to do a laddered treasury strategy, or you want a certain stock or exposure there, they can translate that liquidity while you still hold on to the asset.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the more XRP that gets locked up as collateral. Again, for derivatives,
Yes.
there's less and less on the market. And if there's less and less on the market, there's still the same amount of demand or more demand to be able to settle.
And the price has to explode.
It's got to go higher.
What are, let's say, I always give this like time, let's think 2030, 2035, Agenda 2030 is in place. AI is fully locked down. I'm injecting bug soup into my left arm.
It's a dystopian future.
No, just work with me here.
All right, I'll play along,
CBDCs, my plastic meat rations are being allocated properly. But what could the realistic, upper echelon limits of XRP be? Like, I know technically in crypto, I think we understand there's no technical limits that it could reach, but it's like,
well, it's
realistically, like, what can we look at?
There
like some people,
So, look at the decimal places for XRP, right? There's 7.
7, yeah.
A drop is 1/millionth of an XRP, right? So, realistically, call it a $10,000 XRP or a 5-digit XRP, you'd have 2 decimal places left. But you can actually trade up to a tenth of a drop on the XRPL. And David Schwartz has talked about $1 million XRP. In a couple different tweets over the years. So that's, no time soon that's going to happen. But if we have multiple economies across space, like Elon wants to put together, we colonize Mars or the moon or some of these other things, you've got...
We're not far from that.
Right. So, and then you've got, what's the digital economy? Meta was going to put together like a metaverse.
Oh, metaverse, yeah.
Yeah. So, you've got all these, and you can create infinite numbers of those, and those would all have their own economy, right? And so you need the ability to be able to translate value and transfer value between all of these different ecosystems. And they might even have their own currencies, right? Like we looked at, Facebook was going to launch Libra, and the government's shut them down because they're their own nation state. 3 billion users on their platform.
Yeah.
So I think that's the world that we're moving toward. And there's going to be, with AI agents also, they don't sleep. They don't get sick. They don't take time off. You can make as many of them as you need. GDP is no longer capped per capita or by human, a threshold. We have an infinitely scalable economy at that point. So the people that look at market caps and, all these different things, and they're using the paradigm that we exist in today to be able to determine where we're going. And the paradigm is going to completely shift in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think people understand that 8 hours a day we sleep, and then the 16 hours that we work, we're not as productive as what these PhD plus AI agent professors are going to be like working. Not, yeah, it's
When you can leverage that, they're going to work on your behalf. So, my future vision isn't quite as dystopian.
oh,
But
give or take,
I do think that there will be a caste system, and I don't really like that.
no. Haves and have-nots is a real thing.
I want people to have opportunity, and I think there still will be opportunity for people that really want it. You'll be able to leverage the technology and be able to create pretty much anything at the tip of your fingers, right? But the problem is, the more access we've had to data information and the ability to do that, people have gotten lazier.
But well, that's why I kind of like, paint that dystopian picture, is because humans are like, we're psychic monkeys, like living on a little spinning rock through a fireball, bro. You know what I mean? It's like, and then we're given these advice. Everyone's addicted to like doom scrolling on TikTok, dopamine. So it's like most people can't harness this tech. We haven't evolved to be able to handle it, to be very honest. And then some of the money we can actually generate from like this technology, like these ecom dudes at 20 are making millions. The crypto bros with JPEG monkeys are making money. So it's, and then in real life we're over here fucking it off very quick. So it's like, we're not built to adapt to it very quick, but if you're disciplined and you like really try and harness it, and you understand that this is something that you can use to get ahead of the it's over. Like, you can billion-dollar companies will be made by single people.
It's never been easier, and at the same time,
never been harder. yeah. What a fair.
Yeah, you have all of these tools at your fingertips. But so there's going to be convergence too of blockchain and AI. Yeah. And I think a lot of people kind of look at them separately, or they may not see the full picture there. But this is a distributed database where you can store proprietary data that these AI agents are going to be able to have access to. And these data lakes can be secured cryptographically, quantum proof, zero knowledge proof. They can use metadata to be able to make decisions. So they don't have like your HIPAA information, right? Like your PPI.
Yeah.
But if there's enough data there, they could have like actuaries. They can look at this age male in this region with these habits. This is how many of them are going to die.
Yeah.
It's very accurate.
I believe it. Yeah.
So I had been on the podcast not too long ago. He's founder of DAG.
Nice. Ben?
Yeah. And so anyway, they're a metadata oracle.
Yes.
Basically,
Love them.
They take all of this underlying data and they create metadata that can be used in different use cases for insurance and a bunch of applications. Huge partnership with Panasonic and other stuff. But with all of that being said, I think there's going to be a huge amount of deflation.
Yeah.
And if you knew that there was going to be a deflationary collapse, what would you do, Bull? You'd print it a little bit? Yeah, you'd pump into money supply, right? You'd have quantitative easing. You would push the upper perimeter of that so that when it collapses, it's not as devastating. And I think that's how they've positioned it. And I think they know that that's coming, and I don't think we're far from it. I think the implementation of these technologies, 12 months. I don't know how far we out for quantum, but quantum's 2 to 3 years. And all of these things converging at one time, it's going to displace a lot of people in the workforce. Elon's talking about, high universal income.
Yeah.
I think people are going to need it.
Yes.
And you'll be able to do it.
Unfortunately, right? It's like, because that's their control.
It absolutely will be. So, and I'm, again, kind of dystopian. I'm going to go down.
I hate that I'm like this, bro. I'm really like such an optimistic dude.
Yeah.
But it's like for myself and for people that I like try and surround myself. But it's like, dudes, half of the population is dumber than average, bro. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually very accurate. Average would be in the middle.
Like they put us in special ed classes and then advanced classes, and then everyone like for a reason. And now we're all in social media over here, like firing shit at each other's posts. Like, no, Jake, we're still at a fucking dollar. Bull, I'm tired. The bearable bullshitter.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you get it, dude.
I get it. But it's also like the issue is it's like the price tries to discredit what we're saying. because
Well, it's about the protocol.
But in reality, it's like all the fundamentals, even during the lawsuit, we've been spot on about everything. And there's a certain moment where like when enough truth compounds in a singular direction, like something breaks up or down, and I think it's gonna go
Straight up.
I
do too.
How aggressively, I don't know, but me and Jake were talking about it, and it's like they had to delist XRP from exchanges. 5-year-long lawsuit with Mr. Burns looking as Gary Gensler at the house. And then Epstein hated XRP. Oh, that's another positive narrative. And delisting XRP, and then all the Bitcoin maxis hate this thing. Why? There's a lot of truth in our direction, and at a certain point, it's gonna break.
Yeah, I think
no new all-time highs in that time, but we have 1,700 NDAs. How many partnerships? How much access to capital? How many rails have we built out?
it's not just Ripple. I mean, R3 and there's other conglomerates like SBI. They're advocates for the use of this. I think Japan's going to be the first to adopt XRP.
I agree.
And then we'll move globally. And I think they're going to have to do that when there's a liquidity crisis.
Yoshitaka Katel's been trigger happy, bro.
He loves XRP.
I want to be in Japan when the reverse carry trade is happening. Come with me, bro.
Okay.
Let's go shopping.
People posting pictures of me blocking the Strait of Hormuz. You know, it's not like, I mean, I did talk about it a year before it happened, but I didn't go over there on a boat and do it myself.
I don't believe you, bro.
What do you mean?
No, you did it.
Yeah,
I
well, it was a wild situation that's transpired. But I mean, for the macro to play out in the manner that we need it to in order for this to happen, like it's been very weird. I don't know if you've ever like watched the end to a movie and just know how it ends, and then you have to go watch the whole movie again.
Yeah, you have to look at the little detail. What did I miss? So what's going on? Why did we kidnap the Venezuelan president and bring him to New York in a Nike tag? Like, that was hilarious, bro. But like, oh, is the straight up, oh, this is making some sense now.
Yeah,
okay.
Transition for the petrodollar, but it just wild times to be alive in. And but I think people are going to be okay. I think so back to the dystopian deal. The reason that the Soviet Union collapsed was they couldn't appropriate resources correctly. When you're just evenly distributed across an economy, you have discrepancies that form. And if there's not a way to fill those gaps like there would be in a free market, people exploit it. Like if you see an opportunity and there's an arbitrage, you're going to buy low, sell high, and make the spread, right? Yes. And eventually, if enough people do that, it compresses those margins. But you don't get that in a socialistic society. But if you had digitization of all these payments and you could see all the capital flows across an economy, and you did have an AI that was smart enough to identify the discrepancies, you could then print money in opposition to the deflation from the progressive tech, hold price stability in the economy, and then disincentivize or incentivize spending in certain sectors in order to fill the gaps.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we're headed, which is kind of scary.
It's advanced.
It is. But I mean, look at Aladdin. You have Palantir. It's not like Peter Thiel's just been sitting around twiddling his thumbs.
It'll be more open source. Oh, yeah.
So what's next for you, though, man? Like,
God, I'm a dad.
That's awesome, man.
That's a new experience. You know, just trying to be there for my kid as much as possible. Co-parenting stuff, but it's a road that I think I'm adapting to, and I think I'm going to be much better at as time progresses. Kids are a blessing.
For sure.
It truly made me a better person in every way. Went through some tough experiences through that, but I think God was preparing me, one, to be able to receive what's coming with XRP, to be able to get rid of some character flaws that I did have. I'm not perfect. I'm 30, bro. Like at the end of the day, like I'm a degenerate, like degenerate crypto, bro.
But
still, like, you know, there's some wisdom in this little head of mine, and I try my best to do good and do right by God. And I guess what's next, I really want XRP to go up so I can free up some capital. It's been 8 years of XRP. The cartoon bear said 2018, so I'm kind of exhausted with it. But no, aside from that, I think AI proof ecosystems are very important. I really want to be AI proof. So like human connection is very important. I have a community that I love to death. I love all the people there. I spend a lot of time with my community. I think learning how to use all these different AIs are very important. It's a lot all at once. But if you can, kind of harness the tech and really make like automate your systems, but also teach people how to automate their systems or provide value by, say, somebody has a business that has no website. Hey, you can make it in literally a minute and boom. You could even give it to someone for free and be like, hey, if you need me for anything else, I'm over here. So there's a lot of opportunity for entrepreneurs.
100%.
I think trades, like typical trades, are like being an electrician is one of the only things you could do. Like even doctors are going to get replaced by AI, lawyers, all these people. So it's like you really need to front run this technology now, immediately. Like it's
I don't know
urgent.
that you'll get. I agree with you on the urgency. I would say, if you're able to leverage it and generate additional output for yourself, then you become kind of irreplaceable too.
Become irreplaceable. If you're making content and you're authentic, you're irreplaceable. And if you're like an AI bro that front runs this irreplaceable. So you have to kind of
go where the puck. You have to see where the puck's going and get there beforehand.
Dude, for being an XRP guy, I'm so tech illiterate. To be honest with you, I've just been forced to adapt to where the money is.
Yes,
I'm really not a tech bro.
Like, I don't think you need to be, and that's the other crazy thing about AI is you can vibe code, right? Which is something that's never existed before. When my son was younger, I wanted to get him. There was an app called Grasshopper, and it teaches you like how to code in different languages at a young age. So C++ and Java, Solidia, Python. Because I thought, okay, if he learns this skill, he's going to be able to make money. Those people are going to be completely displaced. SaaS companies, completely displaced. Anybody will be able to build any app that you want, talk to your phone, tell it what features you want, say, hey, go look at PandaDocs, but I want it to do this, this, and this. And it'll build it for you. You need one developer to QC it. And that probably gets replaced by another AI that QCs code that most people use and will pay the things to, right? So just the agentic economy is going to be much larger than any human economy was ever going to be.
Yeah. Aside from that, I'm trying to throw some retreats in a party, bro.
Dude,
come on. Let's throw a banger.
Let me know.
Miami, 2026, $10,000 XRP? No, but in all seriousness, I do want to host gatherings, events and stuff like that. Like XRP Las Vegas is a really good one. XRP Australia was a fantastic one as well. It happened earlier this year. And Japan, Tokyo, all these different community events are very important to just.
Well, like you mentioned, community is going to be one of the biggest pieces for people moving forward. And to be able to cultivate relationships now before the price goes up.
It's better, yeah.
Because you can trust these people, right? And they know they have the same, not the same path as you, but a very similar story. And so there's some empathy there, and you've also built some camaraderie.
Afterwards, it's inauthentic. It's like, oh, you're trying to get me for my money.
Right. And you're not going to know. Like, there's going to be a lot of people that show up and they try to shark you. So you want, and this is what I try to tell people, whether you work with our group or anybody else, find professionals now. Because if they're willing to work with you now, and they're willing to help you and guide you and structure things the right way, then they actually care about you, and it's not about the money because you don't have the money yet.
I guess something I wanted to ask you, because this is what you really specialize in. It's like structuring people's assets and protecting people's wealth. What have you found to be the best structure to protect people's crypto against taxes or litigation and anonymity? Because I've built a crypto a business synonymously for a long time, and there's so the Wyoming LLC thing is that, come on.
If it's
I was on it too, bro, but I just didn't give it out like that. But it was a great ride. That's still Wyoming LLCs are powerful, dude.
They're great.
But what's the strategy behind it? Truly.
So it depends on your goals and what you're trying to achieve, right? There's a lot of different structures, and I view everything just as a tool. It's not like there's an end all be all. And anybody tells you that there's an end all be all solution, they have an agenda. Right. So I just want to work with the best people that have a variety of tools, and people can be bucketed. Right. So there's kind of a spectrum. People have either they lean toward legacy. If you want to leave a legacy, you have beneficiaries. You probably want some type of dynasty trust. You look at a philanthropic organization, private private foundation, or you could use a charitable remainder trust or donor advised fund. There's a lot of ways that you can maintain control of the assets, get them out of your taxable estate and still benefit other people or do good with them. But structuring beforehand is always going to be a better option because then you don't have to deal with the lifetime gift tax threshold here in the U.S., which is currently $30 million under Trump's administration. He's added every year, so I'd expect that the next 2 years it'll go up a little bit. But post-Trump, I don't know. I mean, Biden was going to drop it to $7 million per family. So if we get a Democratic president or there's a total regime change or whatever's going to happen in the next 2 years.
Who knows? It's radical now. I mean, New York City, like, dude.
Oh, dude.
Come on now. What's going on?
It's wild. So all that being said, you know, either onshore, offshore, we can do stuff in the Cook Islands. We can do Isle of Man. We can do in the UAE or in Dubai. People like Switzerland. Just depends on where you want to put your assets and where you plan on living also post price appreciation. A lot of people think they're just going to go offshore and they're going to go to Puerto Rico. Well, it's become very expensive to live in Puerto Rico. And they're, because no taxes, they do a 4% corporate tax and no tax on everything else. The infrastructure there is horrible. And if there's a hurricane that comes through, you could be without power and water for weeks. So if you haven't built that in your own house and you have the money or means to do that, it's not so great. So a lot of people think they're going to move somewhere and it's going to be the next thing, best thing since sliced bread, or, you know, they're going to save all this tax. But really the whole benefit of having so much money is that you get to choose where you live.
The freedom of location, freedom of time. What do you think is like the biggest barrier to entry for someone to create like the structure like that?
I think there's a lot of people that cheap out on stuff. If you're, and not to say that if you pay a bunch of money, you're going to get the best thing either.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You have to find people that are quality, that have worked with other high net worth individuals and family offices to be able to structure things the right way, that also understand crypto, which is very hard. There's few and far between. It took me a long time to find people in 20 and 21 when I did pretty well and wanted to structure my stuff. And so we have those people. We've been able to cultivate more relationships because people are nice enough to make intros for us. So we view ourselves as a conduit. You know, sometimes people work with us directly. Sometimes we have referral partners that we know do good work. And we really just want people to be taken care of and have the network of people to do the right thing. But yeah, I see that as the most common mistake is people, they're still living in lack. They haven't moved to abundance yet. And when the money shows up, if you carry those traits forward with you and you try to cheap out on everything, like what's the point of having the money, you know? But that's, you know, a learned trait. A lot of people's paradigms are going to have to change or they're going to go back to being broke in 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. I'm trying to be beyond broke, right?
Go from one side to the other. Yeah.
Go on. No, that's good. I guess my ask is these crypto lending products.
Oh yeah, so we didn't talk about that, but
I've had great experiences, and I've had horrendous experiences. I had an experience back in February, wiped out, done for, loan done for, but it was my fault. It was completely my fault. I took out the loan at the peak. You shouldn't do that. But I was in a need. You know, it is where shit happens.
Well, and you want to hold on to the asset. You don't want to
hold on to the asset, but I don't take loans out at the peak, but I did because it was an emergency and stuff like that. So did it, boom, bada bing, February hit. We went all the way down onto catastrophe button. So it was like, it's one of those things for the love of the game, lizards. They took that shit. But, you know, I'm still in. Like, I didn't use the whole bag. You shouldn't. But it's a powerful tool because tax-free money from and being able to keep your crypto, that's how the 1% stay rich.
100%.
It's a hyper volatile asset class. So you have to take extra precautions when you do it. But I'm here telling you, like, I got liquidated on a portion of a loan and I made a big mistake. But I would still recommend it though. I'm trying.
It's a good tool. Again, like all these things, right? And you want to work with professionals that can help advise you, that have been there before and kind of can mitigate risk. So actually in New York yesterday, I was talking with Arch Lending, who's one of our partners for lending, and they have 3 new products that they're rolling out to be able to mitigate downside risk in the loans, because that's the biggest issue. People get liquidated. So one of them is a collared strategy where you pay some premium and they buy options to be able to hedge you on either side. kind of caps you on the upside.
Yeah.
But you can roll your loan as soon as it goes up to that level.
Yeah.
They also have some insurance that you can pay for that's expensive that covers your downside risk. Anyway, so they have a couple different strategies that we're going to be working with them on to be able to mitigate losses, because we've had a couple people, unfortunately 10-10 we were good. We didn't have anybody. We had $40 million in loans, and we were
good in 10-10
because it rebounded.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the fall in February, we did have some people that ended up just didn't have the capital to meet the capital call, and not in great positions. So ideally, you're borrowing at the bottom of the market.
Yes.
And then
ride that baby up.
But as XRP gets adopted in some of these other digital assets, I think there's going to be a situation where they're high, stable prices.
Yes, correct, yes.
And then the interest rates are going to come way down because the underwriting and the risk on that's going to be much lower. So you're going to be in a really good spot if you're owning the right assets to be able to use this strategy.
Good. I recommend loans in a very strategic way. Tax-free loans on your crypto is very good. Just don't be in emergency situations like the bull. But I'm still in the game. I'm not.
Well, yeah, like you said, so you don't ever want to put your whole bag in there. Most people that we work with, the upper end of what I've seen the advisors talk about, and again, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. 20-30% LTV against a portion of your bag, because it is so volatile at this time. And if you need more than that, you should probably go look at structured credit or something else that doesn't put your position in a spot where you can be liquidated if things don't go the right way.
Absolutely.
This has been great, dude.
Absolutely. I guess before I leave and before we leave, Jake, XRP EOY
End of year.
2026.
Okay.
What do
you and all in crypto?
No, well, for me, like, I'm looking at all these geopolitical events at play. I also look at some of the esoteric stuff because it's fun. And there's some truth there, but I don't use it as like
gospel.
But it's the fire horse here. Typically that aligns with like revolutions, civil war, wartime, different things. I think that aligns with what's going on now, but it'll come with radical change.
Should get TCBR sometime this year. No. I don't know if you've seen Brad Garlinghouse's tattoo and all the stuff that's going on there.
Yeah.
So, are we just talking about price predictions, or what are you asking specifically?
Yeah. What do you think? Like, let's say the perfect scenario rolls out for XRP this year. Some Clarity Act passes.
I don't think that's
going to happen. You don't think? Interesting. Fascinating. So let's say reverse carry trade is some Japanese adoption, some oil spiking, some crashing, and then rebounding of asset prices, tokenization of stock come out, and different things. Where do you think we could go this year?
If in order to be able to save the financial system in the scenario that you just discussed, I think you easily have to see a 4-digit XRP. Well, just literally, dude. Like, if it doesn't go that high, there's no way that they can't use it. Yeah. There's not enough liquidity in it to settle the back end of the stock market, the FX market, commodities. I mean, you saw Caroline meet with Brad Garlinghouse multiple times. There's photos of them before she moved on to MoonPay. XRP is going to be the asset that is the anchor for that financial system, and the XRPL is what all back-end settlements, it's going to be the base layer, kind of like the bond market is now.
Yes.
It'll be the backbone of the financial system, I believe, by 2027.
Jake, I love you. You say what I think, but don't. I'm tired of saying, and I'm tired of being harassed by anonymous nerds on the internet.
It's look,
I believe that there are scenarios where XRP can do this. I'd say I've adopted some of the TH analyst strategies as well, because that's worked up until this point.
Blockchain backer's been on point.
Exactly. So I have some realistic targets like that I'm gonna profit take XRP from, but also it's like, hey, I'm never selling a portion of my bag. Hey, 4 to 5 figures. Come on.
Yeah. You'll be in a very good spot. There's a lot of people that, have talked about, like, at what point should you sell some? We've got some clients that just want to de-risk their initial investment. We've got other people. So I'll talk about Mando a little bit. I've mentioned Mando a couple times. If you don't watch his channel, you should go check him out. I met him in Dubai in 23 at Swell.
Nice.
And he bought Solana at the bottom
Excellent.
when FTX collapsed.
Excellent. $9. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he threw a couple $100,000 in there.
Incredible.
And he at $35 sold a third of his bag, bought 2 condos in Dubai.
As you should.
And then at $100 sold another third of his bag, bought
condos.
4 condos in Dubai.
Excellent.
And then
Rolled
let
that
the rest ride.
Come on.
And so for people that are invested in digital assets, XRP or the like, that's a fantastic strategy, but you got to know what you're going to do with the money when you take the profit.
Exactly.
And you need to be disciplined enough to buy assets that are going to cash flow and allow you some depreciation. To be able to
Real world
offset.
benefits and long-term crypto stuff. Because my two biggest mistakes in crypto, selling completely and not investing. So Ethereum, I bought at $8.
Oh my gosh.
Sold it all at 40 in like a month. It went to 1,400 a couple months later.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't invest in BNB at 10 cents. 10K I was going to put in. I just didn't because at the time it was like, oh, Trump, China trade war stuff.
Is
Like,
this kinda-
I just didn't know. I was new to crypto. Nobody's experienced this before. That thing hit $1,200 the other day. That would have been 9 figures just from that one position. So
Right. If you had held it.
if I've held it, which I wouldn't have because, but it's just the principle of I didn't put the money in and why not? Like what that 10K was wasted on.
Well, people scale into the market. We talk about dollar cost averaging, but people don't talk about scaling out of the market.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
And I made the same mistake. I bought my first trade ever was Chainlink at 384, and when it got to $8, sold the whole position. And then it didn't do a ton more than that in that cycle. But I figured out, oh no, I need to leave like a moon bag in here so that I'm never out of the market.
Yes.
And we have a product for dollar cost averaging, and also inside of an IRA, there's an algorithmic trading strategy. So last month it did 86 bips.
Yes.
So produce more cash and more XRP for people that have it in that strategy,
Excellent.
tax-free
Yes.
or deferred in their IRA. So again, you just want to work with professionals, make sure that you have a plan. I think a lot of people are like a dog chasing a car, and they're going to catch the car, and then they're probably going to get run over by it.
Yeah.
So,
Jake,
this has been great, dude. Thank you so much for coming in.
Absolutely. It was an absolute pleasure. I've seen your videos for a long time, and needless to say, you're a smart cat, dude. You're a very smart cat. I love what you have to say. Very professional, tight-knit. I'm not as professional and tight-lit. That's today. That's today. See me on a normal side. Come on now. But no, it's been a blast, bro. I love the intellectualism and the value that I think was created for the community here today. And I hope round 2, Jake Claver, El Toro Loco with $1,000 XRP happens.
We'll make it happen. We'll have to do it at the event in Miami.
Oh, come on now.
On the stage in live
Come on.
for people.
It's been a pleasure, dude.
Absolutely, dude. Thanks. And thank you for watching.